Jesse, we have to drink.
I don't know how to do a Heisenberg impression. Dos Hombres Mezcal on today's episode of Mike's Hard Reviews. Fuck me, this jacket is hot. Hey there, hi there, ho there, and hello. Welcome back to Mike's Hard Reviews. My name is Michael. I am a private events bartender, currently available for hire, and a home mixologist. And today we're going to talk about another product and do another review, something that I do uncharacteristically very not often. In fact, today is the second user-reviewed episode we've ever made, or user-requested video we've ever made, that was suggested to me by Big Nick in the comments of the Carrot Cocktail Experiments video. Nick, if you are the Nick that I know from the east side, how's it going, dude? I owe you and the guys a round of drinks for always missing when we all get together to hang out. If you're not that Nick, then hey, nice to meet you. But if you are that Nick, I'll get out there eventually, I promise. No, in fact, Nick recommended to me that I should try Dos Hombres Mezcal, which is a celebrity product made by Bryan, Cranston, and Aaron Paul, the lead two actors in Breaking Bad. Hence the stupid, cringy intro to this episode you're watching. Before you do anything about anything regarding this mezcal, I want to say I generally disapprove of most products made by or heavily endorsed by celebrities. To me, it seems like an excuse for second-rate companies to make a second-rate product that is popular simply because of its namesake. For example, 818 Tequila is Kylie Jenner's brand or whatever, and then Tamarina, I think it's what it is The Rock's, so Dwayne The Rock Johnson. They're fine, but they're not high quality, staple, really well-made tequilas. They're just tequilas that have celebrity names attached to them. So in general, I don't really condone the notion of celebrity endorsed products. However, this one I've heard is actually very good, not just from Nick, but also from a coworker of mine who had asked me if I'd ever had it before and said, you'd really like it, you should try it. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a shot. I know next to nothing about this brand, which brings me to sort of my second comment. There can be some problems with agave-based spirits. Agave takes a really long time to grow. It is essentially a tree that has, rather than like a bush or any other form of plant like a grain, that takes a very long time to grow. And as a result, when tequila became popular in the past 20 years, compared to when vodka was king in the 90s, it meant that a lot of companies were either not giving you 100% agave-based products or were just decimating the environment by rapidly farming agave. Now, I do not know if the folks over at Dos Hombres make a concerted effort to be sustainable. It would appear that the answer is probably yes, but I'm not 100% certain. So keep that in mind and take everything with a grain of salt when you reach for something made from agave. Dos Hombres Mezcal Artisanal. This is the Joven variety, which I assume is what they call their Blanco unaged varietal of mezcal. 100% agave, Dominican in origin, I believe. This is bottle number 16728, which is actually handwritten on here. That's hilarious. Made in Oaxaca, here we go. Tiny village tucked into the mountains of Mexico. That sounds like very carefully written copy, but okay. Aside from that, there's not much copy on here aside from this little widget here at the top. What makes two successful American actors take a road trip into one of the most remote villages of Mexico? The lure of finding the greatest mezcal maestro in all of Mexico. Gregorio Velasco has been making his very own mezcal the traditional way in the tiny village of San Luis del Rio since he was young. Today, the legendary mezcalero continues his craft in partnership with Aaron and Bryan and their Dos Hombres Mezcal Artisanal. When Aaron and Bryan spent time in the village of just 500 people and got to know Maestro Velasco and his family, they knew they'd found something exceptional. And now it's yours to enjoy. The little QR code with the information. And a picture of Gregorio Velasco, which I'll put that up on the camera there. Hopefully that's still recording. Awesome. That's actually great. I respect the absolute fuck out of that. The guy who runs the company that actually makes their mezcal is given direct credit on the product in a way that is more pronounced than anything else I've ever seen. That's great. All right, well, enough reading copy. Let's go ahead and taste some mezcal. Now, I haven't cracked this bottle yet, so I'm actually going to see exactly what this is going to be like fresh. I like to give new bottles a cork test when they use corks because I feel like that isn't actually like super important part of the creation of your product. If whatever you're using to keep air out and spirit in is not good, and you don't have a good seal, your spirit is going to suffer as a result. So the first test I want to do, ooh, yeah. Let's go ahead and just pour some here into this Glencairn. Glencairns are designed to be, tasting glasses, but they're not necessarily like a requirement for tasting spirits. They just help channel flavors or scents rather into your nose. All right, let's go ahead. Let's give this a sniff to start. I want to say it's got some decent legs on it. It's not particularly thick or thin, but it is clinging to the glass the way that I would expect a spirit, like a scotch to almost. On the nose, it is dominant smoke, and a smoke that I'm not familiar with. It does remind me ever so slightly of rubber, or smoked barley, the way you'd find it in like a scotch, like a Johnny Walker Red Label. It's kind of leathery, not quite peaty, but it is in that direction. I'm having a hard time detecting the sort of traditional vegetal and sort of mineral notes that come from tequila or other agave-based spirits. Good nose, actually. I actually really like the way that smells. It definitely. And the thing is too, it smells crisp and it smells clean in the way that it smells. It doesn't smell like there are binders or additives or anything in there that would give it a kind of odd funkiness to it. This is just like a good solid raw smoke flavor that I would look for in something high quality, like of a Lefroy 10-year, for example. Let's give it a taste. Ooh. Oh, wow. No way. That is delicious. Oh my goodness. It's definitely smoky. It's got this very familiar, if you're a scotch drinker in particular, it's got this very familiar smokiness to it that is not unlike the leatheriness of a Johnny Walker Red, but it's a little bit more subdued. It's not so harsh. It's more rounded. It's got the edges taken off of it. It's got a nice presence to it and is not super in your face. It's definitely working well with the agave flavors from the base of the spirit prior to its smoking. I would say it's definitely leaning more mineral than vegetal. I'm not getting very many notes of fresh cut grass or plants or herbs and things. It's definitely more into these kind of subtle, gently umami flavors that you would find in very mineral heavy tequilas and things. It's really good. It's got this kind of smokiness to me, has this sort of hidden stone fruity kind of quality to it, like apricots or like fermented berries almost. And I am getting something kind of reminiscent of that. This sort of kind of rubbery smoke characteristic to it, which I mean positively. Kind of like how Jamaican rum tastes kind of like rotting bananas in a good way. This tastes kind of like burning rubber, but in the way that like processing leather smells, or God, it's so hard to explain the flavor of smoky spirits to people who don't like smoky spirits, because it tastes amazing. It really is very, very good. It's just very round and very pleasant, not too sharp, not too harsh, not all blah smoke in your face. It doesn't taste burnt. It's got this nice like almost like a charbroiled burger characteristic to it that is just really, 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 really pleasant. It's definitely a high quality, crisp, fresh, clean, respectable spirit, which surprises me. I mean, Aaron Paul and Bryan Cranston are like respectable people who are accomplished actors and deserve the fame that they have and are using it to do a cool thing. But I mean, grain of salt, I didn't implicitly expect that. Very good, neat sipping spirit. And I think it'd be quite good actually in a ranch water. I think it'd be fun to see how some Topo Chico kind of, what that brings to the party. But there is actually a cocktail recipe on here, and I wanted to try and see how this spirit mixes as well, because they're encouraging it right here on their copy. So let's go ahead and switch gears per se and see how this spirit mixes. So on the back of this little handout that was discussing Gregorio Velasco and his work with mezcal, there's a recipe for what they call a Dos Hombres Mule, which is 2 ounces of Dos Hombres Mezcal, 1 ounce of fresh lime juice, and 1 ounce of ginger beer. Which first of all takes me by surprise, because generally speaking, a mule is 1/2 ounce of lime juice, 2 ounces of base spirit, topped, then ginger beer to top over a lot of ice. So that kind of balance is surprising. It's a lot of citrus and not very much ginger beer, but we'll see. A lowball varietal of a ginger, of a mule is pretty good. What gets me is the bad technique on the side. They put immediately below that, the instructions read, add all ingredients into a mixing tin. Shake and strain into a large rocks glass. Garnish with a lime wheel. Enjoy. Don't shake carbonated stuff like ginger beer. It will explode. We're going to build this in a low ball over ice instead, because that's how you're supposed to do something like what they're wanting you to do here. But before we do that, actually, I'm going to go ahead and take this a couple steps into a slightly different direction. We're going to change the garnish up here a little bit. I'm going to go for about basically an equal parts blend of chili powder, black pepper, and some salt. So I'm just gonna kind of bring that all together here. And rather than garnish with a lime wheel, I'm going to do a lime peel and a rim. I'm doing this because the flavor of chili pepper and the sort of smokiness of the mezcal itself are going to be a positive, like a really good mixture. So, and this gives me the chance to try out a sort of I guess glass rimming hack I've been seeing on Instagram lately. You take a lime, you cut it in half, and then cut a wheel out of it by putting a cut halfway down the middle and then halfway down the side. So now you have a half wedge, or a wedge, I guess, for garnish, and also the base of your lime, which now has a rim in it that you can put alongside the glass and get a nice, solid, very firm, like carefully placed line of lime juice for rims. Drag this glass through our mixture here. Just get that nice and coated. Nice little rim on there. And now we're gonna build our cocktail. I'm gonna start with 1 ounce of lime juice, 2 ounces of our Dos Hombres Mezcal, and 1 ounce of ginger beer. That's a pretty small amount, actually, and it makes me almost kind of want to measure it, but because it's a carbonated component, that's not going to go very well. I'm just going to kind of free pour 1 ounce. Do that, I'm going to add a nice big scoop of ice. Finish that off by garnishing it with our lime wedge. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Dos Hombres Mule. Go ahead and give this a quick taste with some notes here. Without the rim, there's some really nice interplay happening here. The lime is tart and juicy, and it's given us this really nice sort of cutting sour component that helps moderate the smoke a little bit further. And then behind that is this really nice, bright, loud, spicy ginger flavor. And the smoke and the spicy, they go together really, really well. The actual base of the spirit, those kind of mineral agave notes, are obviously welcome alongside both ginger and lime. It's a solid mule. The spec is a little weird, I'll give you that. A lowball mule is a little weird, for me anyway. But I do think that this is quite a pleasant way to make a mule. Let me try it with this rim I came up with. Yeah, you can take or leave the rim. It doesn't make that big a difference. Now, while we're on the subject of experimentation, and now I have some time to go ahead and play with this a little bit, I think this would be really, really good to make a sort of Smoky Paloma variation. So let's go ahead and try that now. We're gonna build this into a highball glass. And to start off, I'm gonna go ahead and grab some lime. We'll do the juice of half a lime, which is about half an ounce of lime juice. 2 ounces of our Dos Hombres Mezcal. I'm gonna throw in just a single dash of Angostura bitters. And why not, because it'll only help it taste better. I'm also gonna do a dash of orange bitters. I'm making this up, on the fly here. Seat of my pants kind of vibes right now. Finish this off, I'm gonna grab some grapefruit soda. I use Fresca in particular, which is like grapefruit citrus. It's got a nice balance of tartness and sweetness to it. I think it's really good. We're gonna pour some of that in to get our effervescence started so it doesn't go away completely when we add ice. Gonna pull our ice back out and fill that on up. And then we'll top that up with our grapefruit soda. Give that just a gentle stir to combine. Don't use a knife, I just don't have a spoon handy. And then to finish that off, I'm gonna go ahead and cut a lime wedge here and just perch that on the rim as a garnish. And that is a smoky spiced Paloma, I guess. Let's go ahead and give that a shot. Yeah, it's nice. It's sort of just a nice smoky, a little bit of extra bitterness and kind of round, spicy, orangey, citrusy character to it. It's a Paloma that I think is not, remarkably changed, but one that is to somebody's palate. So definitely give it a shot if you like mezcal and want to see how you can spice up a cocktail that I think most people don't necessarily reach for over margaritas. Tasty, tasty stuff. Good job. Aaron, Paul, Bryan, Cranston. Good job. This is good work. So, what have we learned from the remarkably diverse spread sitting in front of me? We've learned that Dos Hombres is not only a respectable product that is still related to two celebrities, but that it is one that is actually of remarkable quality, that is great as not just a neat sipping spirit, but also a mixing spirit that works particularly well in two distinct yet familiar contexts to most people who want to have a cocktail. I think if you find tequila to be a little bit too abrasive and sharp in its flavor, mezcal does kind of fix that problem, but it does replace it with another equally difficult to embrace flavor, that kind of really heavy, dense smokiness. I would say though, give it a shot. If you have a chance to give a mezcal and specifically Dos Hombres a shot, actually, yeah. I think it's safe to say you should definitely give it a shot. This is a really, really good spirit, and one that I think is high quality. That being said, though, I do have to come to a conclusion here and say, should you buy this? And the answer is not necessarily. I am a big fan of it, as it turns out. I am very much enjoying it, but this bottle here cost me $60 in the state of Michigan, which is a lot of money. Generally speaking, high-quality spirits that I would normally reach for range around $35 to $40. And sometimes quality spirits that I find near me are less than that. My go-to gin, if I ever need to use a prominent London dry gin, is Beefeater. That's, I think, $30, if not less than that. My go-to whiskey, if I need a bourbon, is Four Roses. That is $25 to $30. My go-to tequila is Camarena. That is $35. And I don't know if they produce mezcals as well, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. And vodka, I mean, vodka's vodka. Smirnoff or Stoli are like mainstays, and they're only like $15 at most, depending on what you're looking for. This bottle is definitely like a high-tier product. It is expensive. And while it definitely is in what I would refer to as an actually artisanal product, one that is made in very small amounts and very carefully made batches, and that does justify cost to a certain extent, it's not necessarily something I would recommend to everyone, especially because of the way it tastes. It's a quality spirit, it's really enjoyable, but it's not going to find a lot of use in everybody's bars. If you don't drink neat tequila or enjoy a ranch water or a margarita or a Paloma frequently, you might not get a lot of use out of this bottle. It might sit in your bar for forever, and maybe it comes out at dinner parties, maybe it comes out at barbecues, cookouts, whatever. I mean, sure, that's great, but that's not necessarily a use case that I can advise. The things in your bar should be things you are, number one, comfortable experimenting with, but number two, get a decent amount of use out of, so that they're not sitting there forever. If you're willing to experiment, willing to have it sit there for a bit, willing to embrace it and drink it and enjoy it and imbibe it with yourself or imbibe it with friends, yeah. What's the conclusion out of that? I suppose I recommend the product to people who are willing to explore new flavors and expand their palates, but not necessarily to somebody who needs a replacement for tequila in their bar, simply because it is very expensive and has a kind of abrasive flavor profile. Well then, that is the end of our episode. Thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of the show. I left my copy of Crips Toasts in my room. Let me go grab it real quick. We're gonna end this episode off, as always, with a reading from Crips Toasts. We are still in the section entitled Action, and today's quote goes as thus. To action. As Benjamin Disraeli said, action may not always bring happiness, but there is no happiness without action. Cheers. Translation, get out there and make it happen, people. You can do it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, click that like button down below and subscribe to catch more. I make a new episode every Friday, and then sometimes bonus episodes come out on Tuesdays. So if you want to be around to figure out when that happens, click that bell notification down below, and you'll get notifications about when I upload videos. My socials have either been on the screen for a moment or are appearing now. You can follow me there. I use TikTok and Instagram the most after YouTube, but I haven't really been embracing them the most. I'm usually just here, so if you're here on YouTube, that's where I am too. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Remember to please drink responsibly, and have a great rest of your afternoon. Bye-bye.